So England are through to the final of the Euros and they will be playing Spain on Sunday night. Now, again, whether you like how England have played or whatever, you've got to back them. Fair play, they've got there. Regardless of the performances, they've got the job done. They've got the results in. So, big round of applause for that. Happy days. But there is one thing which I really think, it's not gone understated, but it's something that needs to be addressed now. Who's going to play up front for England in that final? Now, anyone that's been watching all the games will know that despite, I believe he now is actually the joint top goal scorer in the tournament, Harry Kane has been a big pile of shit for the last 6 games. He's genuinely, he's not looked fit. He doesn't press. I know that could potentially be a tactical reasoning, but it doesn't look like he's quick enough to run. He's obviously not exactly putting the ball in the back of the net too often. I know he obviously got his penalty last night, and he's obviously scored a couple of he scored a tap-in against Denmark, and again a little bit of a tap-in against Slovakia, that far post header. But regardless, obviously goals are goals, whatever you get them. But the way that he plays has been incredibly detrimental, at least in my opinion. You can argue about it in the comments, but it's a detriment to the rest of that England squad. When you look at that team and how they set up, of course, we've got our back 4 or 5, whatever he's playing on the day, your midfielders, and then normally there's an attacking quartet, right? So left, middle, right, striker. Harry Kane should be up here in this point, in the little striker bit. I know I'm doing dots on the screen, but you can picture it, right? We all know football formations. He's up here, yeah? So instead of staying up here, he likes to come down here, right? And play in this little spot here where you've got the likes of Bellingham or Foden coming in, or Saka or Pump, whoever you want to pick from. He drops in deep, is the point I'm trying to say. And that is not necessarily always a bad thing, but when you're looking for a focal point up front, or a target man, or somebody who can absorb a bit of pressure, win a foul up the pitch for you, that's not what you want, right? And it seems as if, as he's progressed throughout his career, Kane has dropped more back into this role. And whatever, it probably works for Bayern, and it worked for Spurs for a bit, but it does not work for England. And I think that was made abundantly clear last night when Watkins came on. Again, we'll get to him later, but in terms of just sticking to Kane, the difference in how he plays compared to those other forwards is not only a detriment to the midfield within that England attack, but it's a detriment to how they perform in terms of playing balls forward, which is predominantly the main issue. When they're playing and when they've got possession of the ball, England looks so lacklustre and so lethargic with how they play it. It's very passive. There's not much movement going forward because Kane's meant to be the one making the movement, but he doesn't. So when you don't have those players in, you don't get goals like you did last night against Netherlands in the last minute, because he's not stood on the last shoulder of the final defender. He's not going to turn him quick and bang a shot in. He's waiting for a cut. Kane sort of plays where he's waiting for a cutback, or he's dropped down deep and he'll have a pot shot from distance or whatever. He's waiting for runners to go off him in terms of like your Fodens, your Sakas, whatever. And we've seen that link up somewhat well with Saka, because Saka is realistically the only conventional winger that starts every game. Rest in peace, my man Gordon. I can't believe he's not gotten a shout, but that's by the by. It works with that link up, but when it actually comes to, playing Kane through, like a lot of these players look to do for their clubs quite often, you think about Foden and Haaland, for example, that's not being fulfilled, right? And that's probably why you've seen the likes of Foden have one of the shittest tournaments I think I've ever seen from a player. But this is detrimental to not just England as a whole, but the results that they're getting as well, which is where we come to the next point. Who should play instead if he's not going to play? Just for clarity, he is absolutely still going to start this game. There's no way that Southgate won't not pick him, but I do think it's important that we do look at the other 2 options that England have got. A, because they've contributed in their own ways, and B, in my personal opinion, England are not playing as good of a football as they should be. I don't even think that's opinion, I think that's a fact with the quality that they've got, and I genuinely believe that Kane is honestly a bit of a reason behind it. So let's start with the golden boy of the day, Mr. Ollie Watkins, the man who did fire England through to this final to begin with. So again, proverbial hat taken off to you, boy. Fair play. I think when you look at how Watkins plays, and this isn't just from an England perspective, just when you think about at Villa, he's always looking to get on the final defender's shoulder. He's always looking to run in behind, right? Which, again, is obviously what you want to see when you're the likes of a Foden or a Bellingham or a Saka, and you like playing balls forward like that. And as we've clearly seen all season long for Villa, he can quite easily match the goal output of somebody like Harry Kane. You've got to think, comparatively, I'm not saying that he's as good of a finisher as Harry Kane has been over his career, but if you define it off of this season alone, this Watkins season, against a Kane Spurs season, there isn't that much disparity. What's Watkins got? Like 32 goals, I think, in all competitions? That's phenomenal, playing for, granted, now a Champions League side in Aston Villa, but it's not like a Bayern Munich, is it? And I know Kane has gone there and broke all the goal records and everything, but it's an easier league, isn't it, the Bundesliga? So to do that for Villa, with the resources that he's got, is remarkable, honestly. And when you look at a player such as that, with the different assets that he has as well, the pace is ridiculous. Again, we saw that a little bit against Denmark, when he came on and he started stretching the back line, and all of a sudden England looked like they were on the up for 10 minutes until Southgate started playing a little bit more negatively. But having somebody just with that electric pace is always going to cause problems. When you look at other strikers in like the world of football, like Darwin Núñez, right? He is absolutely rapid, and that speed will always just make chances. Now, I know he's bollocks and he can't finish it. Believe me, I fucking watch him enough. But when you've got somebody like Watkins, who has a similar sort of speed and can finish, you're made. You're absolutely made. So, personally, and again, as I've said, Kane is obviously going to start, but I would adore it if Watkins played, and if I was Southgate, he would be starting for me. We then get to our final choice up front for England, and again, I feel like he's almost looked at as almost like a black sheep of the England squad, like people don't really know where he fits. It's Ivan Toney. Again, I look at it in the sense that he's kind of the middleman between Kane and Watkins. If you've got a bloke who's slow, really good shooting, all that fun stuff, sort of a bit of creator, and Kane can technically hold up the ball, because Kane has got the size and ability to do that, and then you've got Watkins, who's just lightning and just good finishing, good on the last man. Toney sits here. Toney's a great combination of the two, in the sense that, again, he's obviously a lethal finisher. We've seen that consistently for Brentford, and that's why he's obviously been rumoured to transfer away for lots of money, go to like Arsenal, etc., etc. But what Toney has, which I would argue is something that I don't think Watkins has, and he does it better than Kane at the minute, is hold-up play. Now, looking forward, obviously, they're going to play Spain, right? You can't believe that England are going to dominate the ball against the Spanish. They're just not. So, honestly, there's going to be a lot of times in that game where you're going to think that England are going to be on the back foot. They're going to be soaking up pressure and defending. And when you do that, you need an outlet. You need somebody up here who can get hold of the ball, keep it, get kicked, get a free kick, get yourself up the pitch, relieve some pressure, right? Ivan Toney is the perfect person to do that. And when you look at when he's come on for England, he has done that very well. I remember, I think it was the Slovakia game, where again, he also got the assist, which is another thing. He's obviously got the ability to do stuff in an attacking sense, which is what you'd want, right? But he was phenomenal in holding up that ball and just getting England further up the pitch and getting them in a better attacking outlet. There's no other way of looking at it than that. I do think that he, from a personal aspect, probably should feel a little bit hard done by that Watkins came on last night instead of himself. But I don't think Toney scores that goal. I think Watkins is probably just a bit quicker than Toney. Toney's still very quick and a very good forward, but I do think Watkins edges it, and I wonder if that first touch that Watkins took, whether Toney scores that goal. I wouldn't want to bet either way. But one thing that Toney has got is he's just got a mentality about him. There is some ice running through that man's veins. We've seen it with his penalties. My man doesn't look. He doesn't look when he shoots. That's bonkers when you're in a shootout for a quarter-final. But he's got a bit of arrogance about him. And generally speaking, historically, most good strikers are a little bit arrogant. And he very much falls into that category. So I would like to see him play. I don't think he'll start. Again, I think it's nailed on that Kane will start. I don't think he'll change his 11, to be honest, unless if an injury comes in or something. But I would like to see Toney possibly get more involved. I feel like it's difficult to say, right? Because unless if you're in the balance of the actual game itself, where, I mean, England could be 4-0 up, it's not going to happen, but they could be 4-0 up. They're not going to bring on a striker, are they? So I think he's a good Swiss Army knife of a forward, if that makes sense. He can give you a bit of everything. He's a little bit of a middleman. But of all three of them, I would want Watkins starting for me. And it's not just because he's just scored the goal that got us through to the final. I genuinely have been crying out for this for the last couple of weeks if you watch back on the channel. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys think. Who do you think is going to start? It's obviously going to be Kane, but who do you think is going to start? Who would you want to start? And if you have been enjoying these videos, please do drop a sub. It really does help out the channel. We're trying to hit 500 before the final, and we're getting pretty close now, so fingers crossed we can get that done. But yeah, thanks ever so much for watching, and I hope to see you in another one soon.